The shrill ring of my cell phone jolted me awake. I fumbled in the dark until my fingers closed around the buzzing device. Bleary-eyed, I glanced at the clock, 2:37 a.m., then down at the caller ID flashing Eli. My nephew rarely called, let alone at this hour. Dread swirled in my gut as I answered. Aunt Marla? Eli's anxious voice gave me chills. It's Grandpa. You need to get over here. What's going on? I sat upright, pulse racing. It's bad. He hesitated. I think Grandma has really lost it this time. My breath caught in my throat. Lana, my sister-in-law, had always been a bit unstable, but Eli's tone suggested whatever was happening now was far worse. Just get over here, he pleaded. Hurry. The line went dead. I shook my husband Alex awake. It's your dad, I said urgently. Something's wrong. 30 minutes later, we pulled into the driveway of the rundown bungalow Lana and my father-in-law Harrison called home. It was a far cry from the upscale neighborhood where Alex and I lived in Chicago. The front door creaked open. Eli's slender frame was silhouetted in the entryway. Thank God you're here, he whispered, glancing nervously over his shoulder. Come see. He led us through the dark, cluttered living room. I gasped at the sight of Harrison slumped in a tattered recliner. His wispy white hair hung limply over hollow cheeks. Dark circles ringed his sunken eyes. His bathrobe hung loosely on a skeletal frame. An empty TV dinner tray and bedpan sat on the floor nearby, along with a pile of soiled linens. The stench of urine and feces overwhelmed me. Grandpa? My voice quivered. Harrison's glassy eyes met mine, but there was no recognition. How could she let this happen? Alex choked out. Where is Lana? I demanded. She's upstairs. Passed out, probably, Eli said bitterly. Too busy partying and spending their money to take care of him. Rage and disgust roiled inside me. I wanted to storm upstairs and tear Lana apart, but Harrison needed us now. Gently cupping his cheek, I said, It's me, Dad, Marla. We're going to take care of you. His parched lips moved soundlessly. I cradled his frail body as sobs racked my frame. Alex enveloped us both in his strong arms. We stayed like that for some time, holding this man we all loved so dearly, now reduced to a shell of his former self. Finally, Alex broke the silence. We'll take him home with us tonight and get him the care he needs, he said firmly. Should we confront Lana? I kept my voice low, conscious of her just upstairs. Alex's jaw tightened. Not yet. Not yet. Right now, we just need to get your dad out of here, I nodded, wiping my eyes. As we moved toward the door, Harrison clutched my hand. His rheumy eyes found focus. My sweet girl, he croaked. You came. Tears spilled down my cheeks. I'll always be here for you, Dad, I whispered. We bundled him carefully into the back seat, swaddling his frail body in blankets. Exhaustion showed in the lines etched around his mouth and eyes, but the faintest hint of a smile played on his lips. As Alex steered us home through the early morning light, I watched the sunrise paint the sky in brilliant hues of orange and pink. The colors reminded me of when I was a little girl, and Harrison would wake me early to watch the daybreak together. I swallowed hard. How could I not have known how much he was suffering? I should have protected him from her. Should have stopped this. I stroked Harrison's hair as he slept. It's going to be different now, Dad, I whispered. I promise. The next morning, I stood at the kitchen window cradling a cup of coffee, watching the sunrise paint vibrant hues across the sky. After the emotional roller coaster of last night, the familiar view soothed me. Alex came up behind me, wrapping his arms around my waist. How's your dad? Still sleeping, I said. He was so exhausted. Alex kissed the top of my head. Let's go check on him. We entered the guest bedroom quietly. Morning light filtered through sheer curtains, illuminating Harrison's sleeping form. The sharp angles of his body protruded beneath the blankets, but his face looked peaceful for the first time in ages. Seeing him safe in our home filled me with relief, yet rage still simmered inside me. I turned to Alex. We need to go back there today. His brow furrowed. Are you sure? Maybe we should give it some time. I shook my head firmly. The hell with waiting. I need to know exactly what's been going on in that house. Alex sighed, but didn't argue further. We both knew the truth needed to come out. Within the hour, we were pulling onto Lana's street. She must have seen us coming, because the front door flew open before we even exited the car. Get out! Lana's shrill voice pierced the morning quiet. Mascara was smeared down her stubbled cheeks. You had no right to take him. I strode up to her, getting right in her pallid face. No right? You neglected him to the point his own grandson had to call us for help. He could have died. Lana's bloodshot eyes blazed with fury. Don't you dare judge me. You abandoned this family, ran off to your fancy new life, and left the rest of us behind. She jabbed a finger at Alex. Some devoted son you are. Alex gently steered me into the house. As we moved further inside, the squalor became painfully clear. Trash and clutter piled up everywhere. Dishes with moldy food remains were stacked high in the kitchen. The bathroom reeked of urine and feces. My anger erupted. You miserable bitch. Look at this place. Look at what you've become. Lana smirked coldly. I'm living my life how I want. If the old man doesn't like it, too bad. While you party and whore around, you left your own father-in-law to rot. I shot back. So what if I have a lover? Lana sneered. At least someone wants me. It was clear she felt no remorse. I wanted to slap the smug look off her face, but violence wouldn't solve this. Alex put a hand on my shoulder, holding me back. We're taking over Harrison's care and selling this place, he said evenly. You won't get another cent. Lana's sneer faded. For a moment, fear flickered in her eyes, then the mask slid back into place. We'll see about that, she hissed. As we left, I saw the neighbors peeking out from behind their curtains. Word would spread quickly about what had transpired. Lena's reputation in this town was destroyed. Good, I thought viciously. Let her suffer. Back home, I perched on the edge of Harrison's bed. His color seemed better this morning. I stroked his wispy hair gently. It's going to be okay now, Dad, I whispered. She won't ever hurt you again. I'll make sure of it. He clasped my hand weakly, eyes brimming with tears. I laid down beside him and held him as he wept, soothing him until we both drifted off to sleep. Over the next few days, I barely left Harrison's side. His physical health was improving, but emotionally he was still fragile. We passed the time looking at old photo albums, watching classic movies, and going for gentle walks around the neighborhood. Alex split his time between checking on his dad and gathering information about Lana's misdeeds. From the stacks of unopened mail and overdue notices he found, it was clear she had been neglecting finances along with caring for Harrison. Late one night after Harrison had gone to sleep, Alex came into our bedroom clutching a manila envelope. His face was grim. I think you need to see this, he said. He pulled out a private investigator's report. As I scanned through it, the ugly truth about Lana's double life unraveled before me. While Harrison lived in squalor, she had secretly drained hundreds of thousands from their shared accounts to fund shopping sprees, a monthly apartment in the city, and lavish vacations with her lover, a man named Shane. That heartless bitch, I seethed. Alex nodded. It gets worse. The PI got photos of her and Shane coming out of a casino. Looks like they've gambled away a huge chunk of the money. My blood boiled. I had naively thought Lana's neglect was a sign of mental illness, but this went far beyond instability. She had deliberately and systematically bled Harrison dry to fund her own selfish lifestyle. I tossed the report on the nightstand and began furiously pacing. We need to confront her. Make her admit what she's done. I agree, said Alex, but we need actual evidence first. Over the next few days, we discreetly gathered financial records, photo evidence, and statements from Harrison's doctors detailing his neglect. Finally, we had enough documentation to irrefutably prove what Lana had done. The showdown happened at Sunday dinner with the extended family. I waited until everyone had finished eating before slamming the evidence down on the table. Take a look, I hissed at Lana. Still want to claim you've done nothing wrong? All eyes turned to Lana. She stared sullenly at the papers and photos spread out before her. This is bullshit, she muttered. But her face had gone pale, eyes darting nervously. Is it? I held up a bank statement. Then explain why you spent over $15,000 last month on designer clothes while your father-in-law was lying in his own filth. The table erupted. Alex's brothers shouted accusations while their wives gasped in horror. Lena shrank back, turning whiter by the second. I slammed my hand down, silencing the commotion. Leaning in close to Lana's face, I whispered, "You're done. We are going to make you pay for everything you've done to him." She gaped wordlessly like a fish out of water. Then her eyes hardened. "Do your worst," she hissed. "I regret nothing." I wanted to slap her across her smug, spiteful face. But she wasn't worth it. Turning to the table, I stated, "My father-in-law will not be returning to this house. We're meeting with lawyers next week to start seizing assets." Alex squeezed my shoulder. I looked into the faces of our family, seeing shock and anger, but also hope that justice would be served. As we left, Lana shouted empty threats at our backs. They only strengthened my resolve. With the proof now exposed, she had lost her power. I would not rest until she paid for every cruel thing she had done, for Harrison's sake, and for the sake of our entire family. The week after the family dinner was a whirlwind. Alex and I met with lawyers to start the process of seizing Lana's assets. We toured assisted living facilities, finally selecting a charming home just a few miles from our house. When movers arrived to pack up Harrison's belongings, Lana threw a fit. She hurled curses and threats, blocking their access to the house. But when Alex called the police, she finally retreated, scowling and defeated. By Friday, Harrison was happily settled into his new home. Seeing his smile return was the best revenge against Lana. With my father-in-law taken care of, I turned my attention to making Lana pay. Our lawyers froze all her accounts and seized the house and vehicles. Her phone was shut off and utilities canceled after she failed to pay the bills. Cut off from her spoiled lifestyle, Lana became more unhinged by the day. She continued hurling insults and threats at Alex and me. I refused to let her intimidate me. That Sunday, we hosted another family gathering at our home. I knew Lana would show up to cause a scene. Sure enough, she stormed through the front door reeking of booze and cigarettes. "You spiteful bitch," she slurred, jabbing a finger at me. "I want my house back." I feigned calm, sipping my wine. "The house has been seized. You won't get another penny of my father-in-law's money." Lana's face purpled with rage. "You'll regret this," she seethed. "I'll make you pay." Alex gently took her arm. "I think you should leave, Lana." She shoved him away violently. "Don't touch me." Her shouting had drawn the attention of the entire party. Our relatives looked on with disgust at her slovenly appearance and crazed behavior. "Let's all have a chat in the other room," I said lightly, leading the group away. Lana stood fuming in the foyer as we calmly filed into the living room, excluding her from the gathering. Through the wall, we could hear glass shattering as she ransacked the kitchen in a rage. Still, I refused to give her the satisfaction of a reaction. "I'll handle the damages," I told my guests. "She's only lashing out because she knows she's lost." They murmured in agreement. Lana had destroyed her last ounce of sympathy with these unhinged actions. Soon the chatter and laughter from our party drowned out Lana's tantrum. Occasional thuds sounded from the kitchen, but I ignored them, continuing to mingle happily. Finally, the front door slammed as Lana made her exit. The party continued late into the evening, with Alex and I basking in our family's love and support. The next morning I surveyed the damage in the light of day. Shattered glass and broken dishes littered the floor. Cabinets hung open, contents strewn wildly across countertops. As I cleaned up Lana's mess, fury rose inside me. Her petty lashing out only strengthened my resolve for justice. I would not stop until she faced real consequences for her cruelty. By the time Alex came downstairs, the kitchen was spotless again. He wrapped me in a hug. "It's almost over," he said. "Then we can move on." I nodded, laying my head on his shoulder. Lana's reign of terror was ending. Soon she would become nothing but a cautionary tale for our family, while Harrison enjoyed the peaceful life he deserved. For all the damage she had wrought, karma had finally caught up to my cruel sister-in-law. I intended to watch her crash and burn. Our lawyers worked swiftly to build an airtight case against Lana. Alex and I supplied bank records, photos, and affidavits confirming her neglect and misuse of funds. Lana's rage intensified as the legal noose tightened around her neck. She left threatening voicemails and lurked outside our house at all hours. I refused to show any fear, though I took precautions like installing security cameras. One evening, I came home to find slurs spray-painted across our front door. As I scrubbed at the marks, fury boiled up inside me. The time had come to take definitive action against her. At my instruction, our lawyers filed a restraining order. Lana was banned from contacting us or coming within 500 feet of our home in Harrison's assisted living facility. The next phase of my plan involved exposing her cruelty to the world. I gave interviews to local media outlets, providing financial records that proved Lana had robbed her own father-in-law to fund her sordid lifestyle. The story exploded. People were outraged at Lana for what she'd done. Her reputation was left in tatters. With the court date looming, Alex and I continued gathering irrefutable evidence of Lana's wrongdoing. I wanted to bury her completely, leaving no room for lies or excuses. One night over a late dinner, Alex gave me a somber look. I found out something you need to know. Shane came to the house a few times while Dad was still living there. Rage instantly flooded my body. That bastard was in the same house as my helpless father-in-law? Alex nodded grimly. I slammed my fist on the table, making the dishes rattle. We'll subpoena him. Make him testify against her. Having Shane expose Lana's affair and neglect in court would utterly destroy her. This was the final nail in her coffin. In the weeks leading up to the trial, I was energized with a sense of purpose. Even as Lana's harassment escalated with more vandalism and violent threats, I refused to be cowed. The night before we were set to face her in court, Alex found me sitting awake in the darkness. He flipped on the bedside lamp and took my hands in his. "Are you sure you want to go through with this?" he asked gently. "Destroying her won't undo what happened." I squeezed his hands. "You're right, but she has to pay for what she did for our family's sake." Alex pulled me into his strong arms. I laid my head on his chest, taking comfort in his warmth and strength. Tomorrow, justice would be served. The next morning I dressed with calm precision, donning an understated black suit and strings of pearls, Harrison's favorite. I swept my hair into a sleek knot. My makeup was flawless. In the car, Alex gave my hand a reassuring squeeze. "Let's finish this." Walking tall into the courthouse, I was no longer just a woman scorned. I was an avatar of justice. Lana would finally reap what she had sown. She withered under my icy stare as I took the stand to testify, dispassionately recounting her misdeeds. When Shane confirmed their affair had started before Harrison's decline, the last embers of Lana's defiance extinguished. The satisfaction I expected to feel at her downfall faded as her sentence was handed down. She looked small and pathetic now, robbed of her smug bravado. Her punishment would be a lonely, difficult road, the only true justice for her cruelty. As Alex and I left the courthouse, I finally let it sink in that the fight was over. Lana could no longer hurt our family. I leaned into my husband, releasing a deep sigh of relief. The day of reckoning had arrived. Lana sat hunched at the defendant's table, her dingy sweater and greasy hair a far cry from her formerly lavish appearance. Her face was etched with resentment, eyes smoldering with impotent fury. I smoothed my skirt, spine ruler straight. Today the full truth would be exposed. There was no turning back now. As the prosecution detailed Lana's neglect, her gaze remained fixed on the floor. But when evidence of her affair and misused funds were presented, her head jerked up, eyes flaring. The prosecutor called Shane as a witness. I watched Lana's face drain of color as her former lover took the stand. Shane recounted in detail how their trysts began before Harrison's decline. Lana swiveled in her seat, hissing at him to shut up. The judge rapped his gavel, demanding order. When the prosecution rested, Lana's lawyer rose on shaky legs. "No further questions," he mumbled. Even her own counsel knew she was indefensible. As we broke for recess, Lana sprang from her seat, eyes wild. "You'll pay for this, Marla," she growled, leaning into my face. Before she could continue her threats, a bailiff grabbed her shoulders, steering her back. I didn't flinch, holding her raging glare with cool contempt. She had already lost. The verdict came swiftly, guilty on all counts of neglect, abuse, and fraud. Lana collapsed back into her seat as the sentence was read, 20 years in prison, seizure of her remaining assets. Alex hugged me tightly. Murmurs rippled through the gallery. I had won, but strangely felt only a sense of weary relief that it was finally over. At a celebratory family dinner that night, I raised a toast. "Here's to a fresh start for all of us," I proclaimed. Glasses clinked all around. Harrison, seated in a place of honor, gave me a knowing smile. The worst was behind us now. I visited Lana just once in prison. She sat across the table behind smudged plexiglass, eyes as hard as stone. "Come to gloat?" she sneered. "I came to give you a chance," I said evenly. "Admit what you've done, and start making amends." She barked out a harsh laugh. "You'd like that, wouldn't you?" Leaning forward, I met her glare. "The only person still clinging to lies is you. This is your chance to change." Her lip curled in a snarl. "Save your sanctimonious bullshit. I'll never confess to crimes I didn't commit." I stood calmly. "Then I hope you can find some shred of humanity left in yourself. Goodbye, Lana." She shouted obscenities at my back as I walked away without a glance back. There was nothing left to say. In the parking lot, I turned my face to the sun, letting its warmth wash over me. The long ordeal was finally over. Lana could no longer hurt our family. At home, Harrison slept peacefully in the guest room, his health steadily improving. I watched his chest gently rise and fall, profoundly grateful he was safe. Sliding into bed beside Alex, I whispered, "It's really over now." He wrapped me in his strong arms. I had weathered the storm, keeping my promise to protect the father I loved. Lena's cruelty was no longer our burden to bear. As I nestled into my husband's embrace, the tension that had gripped my body for months finally melted away. I had faced the darkness and emerged wiser, with relationships renewed. Our lives could begin anew. In the months following the trial, I finally felt like I could breathe again. With Lana sentenced and assets seized, she had no power left to hurt us. Harrison thrived in the tranquility of the assisted living home. His charming suite had bright artwork, plush furniture, and a view of landscaped gardens. No locks confined him now, only kindness and community. Staff doted on him as he regained strength, both physical and emotional. He cherished the social activities that engaged his quick mind and lively spirit. I delighted in seeing joy sparkle in his eyes once more. Meanwhile, Lana wasted away in her stark prison cell. At first, she screamed threats and hurled abuse at guards. But as the years of hard times stretched endlessly before her, her fury extinguished into hopelessness. Sometimes I thought of who Lana used to be, a smiling young bride, promising artist, before bitterness consumed her soul. But any sympathy faded when I looked at the father she had almost destroyed. With Lana gone, Alex and I celebrated milestones in peace. On our anniversary, we dined at the cozy Italian restaurant where he had proposed. For the first time in ages, the wine tasted sweet, unmarred by resentment. To new beginnings, I toasted, clinking my glass to his. The past was finally behind us. When my promotion came through, Harrison was the first person I called. "You always were destined for great things," he said proudly. His encouragement, once a steady comfort, meant everything now. At relaxed family dinners, none of us uttered Lana's name. Her presence, though malignant, had dominated our lives for so long. With her gone, we focused on shared joy. One crisp autumn afternoon, Harrison dozed in a lounge chair while I raked leaves in his garden. The simple act of tending this space together soothed my soul. When I knelt to adjust his blanket, his eyes flickered open. "You saved me, you know," he whispered. I clasped his frail hand. We saved each other. This was the life he always deserved. Warm sun on his face, comfort and love surrounding him. I would move heaven and earth to keep him safe. As the holidays approached, Alex and I brought Harrison to our home for an intimate celebration. He shone as the guest of honor, looking dapper in a tailored shirt and vest. I raised my wine glass high to the people who matter most. Our small gathering glowed with devotion. We had weathered tribulations but emerged wiser and closer. The coming year held nothing but promise. On New Year's Eve, I visited Lana in prison one last time. She sat with shoulders hunched, hair streaked with gray. "I'm not here to gloat," I said. "Just to tell you that you're free now, too. To change, make amends however you can." Her eyes narrowed. "Amends? I have nothing to atone for." I sighed and stood to leave. She would likely cling to denial forever, poisoning her soul. The divide between us was permanent as a scar. Stepping outside into the bracing air, I inhaled deeply. Our family's fresh start awaited. Whatever Lana chose, I refused to look back again. The next sunrise welcomed a new year, shimmering with hope. Harrison and I watched the glowing sky together, fingers intertwined. "The future belongs to us now," I whispered. He squeezed my hand gently. "We're just getting started." Time flowed smoothly onward, each season bringing renewed warmth to our family. With Lana gone, relationships flourished, unfettered by resentment. Harrison adjusted beautifully to his new home. He passed hours reading on the patio, made friends playing bingo, and rediscovered his love of painting. I delighted in seeing his quick smile and hearing his deep, hearty laugh again. On weekends, he came to stay with Alex and me. We'd lounge by the fire pit, roasting marshmallows and chatting late into the night. No subject was off limits. He spoke openly now of his hopes, regrets, all he still wished to do. Watching Harrison embrace life with such zeal rekindled my own sense of purpose. I pursued passion projects, traveled more with Alex, and committed to community service. Each day was too precious to take for granted. Meanwhile, Lena festered in her prison cell, stern and unrepentant. The few times I visited, she refused to acknowledge any wrongdoing. "I won't confess to crimes I didn't commit," she spat bitterly. "You can't keep me caged forever." I remained patient and calm. "The door is open whenever you're ready to walk through it." But she just turned away, seething silently until I left. Some people could not be helped until they chose to face the truth. As seasons changed, so did our family dynamic. Laughter came easier, bonds grew deeper, without Lana's toxicity poisoning our hearts. I remembered what it meant to feel joy wholly again. On a golden autumn afternoon, I sat with Harrison beneath a maple tree, its leaves flaming crimson. He turned to me, eyes brimming with tears. "Thank you for giving me my life back," he said, voice choked with emotion. I squeezed his hand, too overcome to speak. The peaceful beauty surrounding us was answer enough. With Lana gone, holidays became cherished celebrations, not tense battlegrounds. Harrison joined us for a cozy Thanksgiving dinner, carving the turkey as grace flowed freely from his heart. At Christmas, he gifted Alex and I matching hand-knitted scarves, crafted in secret during months of devoted effort. "Something to warm you when the winds blow cold," he said simply. My heart swelled, seeing his love poured into every stitch. As years passed and Lana's release approached, Harrison showed no resentment toward her, only calm equanimity. His grace was hard-earned through suffering, but gave me hope. On the eve of Lana's release, he clasped my hand tenderly. "Bitterness harms the vessel that carries it. I choose peace." The next morning, I drove him to the prison to retrieve her. When Lana emerged, the years showed plainly on her hardened face. She spared us not a glance as she brushed by toward uncertain freedom. Watching her solitary figure disappear down the icy road, I felt only pity that her heart had not yet unfrozen. But Harrison and I walked arm in arm into the sunshine, souls unburdened. The years hence unfurled gently as a rosebud. Harrison reveled in doting on great-grandchildren, passing his wisdom to new generations. Seasons came and went, but our love only grew deeper. Each dawn we watched together glowed more vibrant than the last. His eyes still held that familiar twinkle, reminding me that life's beauty reveals itself to those who choose to see. On the last morning, he clasped my hand one final time. "It was a good life," he whispered. Our gazes met in perfect understanding. He was right. We had walked through the darkness, faces upturned toward the light. Now his spirit could soar unfettered, and I could live on in his honor, with hope in my heart.